Welcome, everyone. Here we are with the sports writers, Phil Stacy, Matt Williams of the Salem News, Nick Giannino from the Gloucester Times, talking North Shore sports. And we're talking on Tuesday afternoon, summer afternoon here on the North Shore. And Nick Giannino, I'm going to start with you. We're going to mix it up a bit here. I want to
All right.
start with the NBA, with the Celtics. We won't spend a lot of time on that, but we'll get to the high school sports and the Bruins as well. But Nick, how about those the Celtics and Pacers opening up in the Eastern Conference Finals tonight at the Garden? What's your take?
Yeah, 8 o'clock tonight, game one. I think that the Pacers are going to give the Celtics more trouble than a lot of people think. I'm not going to pick them to beat the Celtics. I like the Celtics to win. But the Pacers are a good team, man. I mean, nobody gave them a real chance against New York. They got it done in 7 games in the Garden. I know New York was really banged up, and Brunson obviously left game 7 early with an injury, but they were in control before that even happened, so can't really use that as an excuse. Nobody gave them much of a shot to beat Milwaukee in round one, and they went ahead and did that in 5 or 6 games. So this is a team that's playing some good basketball. They're very high scoring, skilled offensive team. They're going to put up points. The Celtics played them 5 times in the regular season, and most of those games are pretty high scoring. Even with the Celtics' great defense, I think it's going to be hard to hold a team like this under 100 points. And looking at that season series, the Celtics won 3 of those games, Pacers won 2. But the interesting part about it is that only one of those games was with the Pacers team that they have now. Because they acquired Pascal Siakam, an all-star caliber player in January. Celtics played 1 game when he was, in the lineup with Indiana in late January, and it ended up being a close game that the Celtics held on down the stretch. But Pascal Siakam, he just brings a little bit something different to that Pacers team. Not only is he a talented guy, but they can look to him offensively, and he can do a little bit defensively with his length. So I think that was a really underrated pickup by Indiana that not a lot of people are talking about. And he's playing some good basketball in the playoffs. Nothing outrageous. He's not going to steal headlines with a 40-point game, but he's pretty much good for 20 points and 6, 7, 8 rebounds every game. And that's big come playoff time. He's been a consistent threat. So I think they match up pretty well against the Celtics. I think they're confident. I think that they can score a lot of points, and they can get out in transition and run, knock down some threes. And I think the X factor for them will be Halliburton, Tyrese Halliburton, their starting point guard. He's a guy that he's always going to be dishing the ball. He led the league in assists this year, almost 11 assists per game. But when he's aggressive and he's, getting his shots up at a higher volume, he's a really dangerous player. He can shoot from the outside. He's crafty. He can get into the lane. So I think he's the X factor. If he plays well, Indiana has a chance to win some games. Again, I'm not going to pick them to win the series, but I think after watching the Celtics beat up on depleted Miami Heat and Cleveland Cavaliers team, this is going to be a different challenge. Indiana's healthy. They're whole. They got a good starting unit. They got a good bench. And let's not forget about Aaron Nesmith, who the Celtics let go and is now starting for the Indiana Pacers, playing big minutes for them. Big energy guy, can knock down some shots, good defender. We saw glimpses of it with the Celtics. He never really got that chance to break out and play big minutes. And, it was fair that they let him go. They didn't really have a spot in the rotation for him with the guys they got, but he's thriving over there. So it's good to see. And, he's going to be out for a little bit of revenge coming into the Garden, the team that he started his career with. I'm not saying, Aaron Nesmith is a world beater by any means, but it'll be interesting to see how he performs against his former team. So give me the Celtics in 6 games. I could see it going 5 if Boston really comes to play, and depending on when Porzingis returns from injury, they're saying he's going to miss at least the first 2 games. And if they're winning those 2, do they rush him back? I don't know. So that's another interesting thing. And then one more tidbit with the Pacers is they haven't lost at home in quite a while. I think it's close to 2 months now. They ripped off a little winning streak at home to end the regular season, and they haven't lost at home here in the playoffs yet. So to my knowledge, I'll have to double check that, but I'm 90% sure they haven't lost in the playoffs at home. Indiana wins their basketball. The crowd's going to show up for them just like it does in Boston. And So that's going to be a tougher environment to play in as well. So give me the Celtics in 6. I think they'll be tested a little bit. It should be good for them, and it could be a fun series.
I'll let you guys weigh in on that in a second, but the Celtics are well rested. The Pacers just took the Knicks in 7, albeit last game was just Sunday. So they'll probably come out tonight and the Pacers will build a 15, 20-point lead in the first half against the Celtics. That's the way these things go.
Yeah,
Matt?
so rested. You're right, and I don't think the Pacers are tired. I think they're young enough. They looked good in Game 7. I think they're ready to go.
Matt, Phil, any thoughts?
Celtics
I
in
mean,
4.
Sweep.
Oh,
Wow.
Sweet. Yeah.
yeah, 5 games. I mean, listen, unless Brown and Tatum both go out, which is basically what the Pacers have had, right? There was no Giannis. And the Knicks, might as well have had Spike Lee on the court by the end of that game. So I just, I mean, the Celtics screwed it up against a vastly inferior opponent last year. I don't see that happening again. I mean, you're talking 5 games. If it goes more than that, something's wrong.
Reach their own, but I mean, have you seen the Celtics play? They're going to give away at least one game themselves, and then the Pacers are probably going to win one at home and get hot. That's how I
One
look
game.
at it.
I mean, that's how it's been. Yeah, the first 2 series they gave away 1 game instead of 2. That's improvement from last year. Well,
That's
last year they
true.
gave away 2 games
true.
per series. This year only 1, so that's okay. That's why I said 5.
All right.
Sweep.
the
It's not gonna be a
Celtics sweep?
If it's a sweep, then you can take the Celtics beat coverage over.
I mean, they're 60. This team,
No, thank
this
you.
team was 1 game out of the play-in tournament. Like, they're not great. Like, at some point you have to flex your muscles, like just like the Bruins did against Carolina a couple of years ago. Like,
I agree. The East is weak, and the Celtics have had a pretty clear path. But I just think people are overlooking this Indiana team a little bit. I think they're more talented than people think, especially with Siakam now.
I mean, that might be true, but I would say at least last year, like you had your Heat culture thing, and like the Heat actually beat teams at full strength to get there as an 8 seed. I mean, in Indiana, people want to bash the Celtics road, but like Indiana played, the Bucks without Giannis and the Knicks with the walking wounded out there. Like, so I mean, it's not as if they're battle tested like Miami was either.
No, you're right. What about the coaching aspect? I mean, Rick Carlisle's been around for quite
Yeah.
a while. He's had some success. We don't know, still don't know what we're getting with Joe.
It's a fair point.
know.
It's been an issue for
That
sure.
could come into play.
Yeah, no, check mark Indiana at coaching. You're right about that.
All right, good thoughts. We'll get to the Bruins maybe a little bit later on if we want to get a little downer to end the program. But let's just jump to baseball. Matt, I want to go right to you to high school baseball. You had a tweet out a few moments ago as we record on a prep St. John's prep matchup if the tournament were to end today or the season were to end today or such and such. So give us your thoughts on North Shore baseball as we've seen things so far.
Yeah, right now we got the prep all the way up to number 8 and Peabody sitting there at 25. So that would be your first round matchup. It would certainly be a juicy one for the local fans. Maybe feels a little bit inevitable, but St. John's could certainly continue to rise. Peabody could rise their tournament this weekend. They have Wakefield, who's number 7 in Division 3, and then Andover is in that field too. They're number 18. So a couple of wins there. Maybe Peabody can squeeze its way into the top 16 and get a home game and get away from St. John's. But certainly a potential interesting development there. I mean, St. John's a couple of weeks ago was a team nobody could figure out, and now all of a sudden they've won 5 in a row, and they're the team nobody wants to play. So kudos to them. They're pitching well. They found a couple guys they can ride in Braden Hurley and Anthony Romano, and all of a sudden they're all the way up to number 8 and kind of living up to their reputation and getting ready to play good baseball at the precipice of the state tournament. So that's definitely going to be something to watch. I would point out Masconomet clinched the NEC Dunn with their win on Monday. Power ranking wise, both Masco and Marblehead look like they're going to finish up with 15 wins, and neither one of them are in the top 16. So that's a little bit of a head scratcher. I mean, neither one of them have played very many lambs. They got decent schedules. So that's a little strange. I would keep an eye on Salem. They've got 4 games left, and they got to win a couple to make sure they get in. Right now, they're in the 20s in Division 4, but could use some victories. And I'm trying to think that there was one other squad that I wanted to point out. I think Pingree 2 comeback wins. They're in the New England tournament this week. So they play Tuesday as we record this, and if they win, they would play again on Wednesday in the semifinals, and then the championship would be on Saturday. And the other note I had was how often do you see this? Hamilton Wenham won a game in which they had 0 base runners for 7 innings. Jack Zimmerman of St. Mary's Lynn threw a perfect game through 7, but it was 0-0. They couldn't get any runs for him. Hamilton Wenham gets a couple of hits in the 8th, and then they scratch out a run against the bullpen in the 9th to win 1-0. So that's one of those baseball things. You can go to 100 baseball games and see something you've never ever seen before. I'm guessing that's pretty historic to have a perfect game through 7 and then actually come back to win that game.
Wow. Good stuff. Let's go to the lovable Phil Stacy over there. And much beloved Phil Stacy, as we refer to him every week. But Phil, you want to handle softball? Can you give us a note or two on softball while we're talking about a diamond sport here?
Sure. Big one today, actually. You may even want to go back to Willie on this one. He's going to be covering the rematch of Beverly and Peabody over at Lieutenant Ross Park this afternoon. Both teams with 1 loss in the Northeastern Conference. Of course, Beverly beat Peabody early this season on a walk-off. I'm sure Peabody has been eyeing this game ever since. Beverly lost to Gloucester last week. So they now have 1 conference loss on the season. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is Beverly's the 2nd of 4 straight games this week. I think they play every day, Monday through Thursday this week. They outlasted Swampscott yesterday, 15-7. They didn't use Lydia Medema in the circle, who's emerged as their number 1 pitcher, the freshman. So I'm pretty sure she would be going today against Peabody. I would certainly have to think that Abby Betancourt, who I literally just talked to a half hour ago, I didn't even think to ask her, but I would assume she's pitching today. So it should be another terrific matchup there. Peabody was what, 4 did I see in the most in the pairings that came out this morning, and Beverly was 12, I want to say. So both top programs. I think they each have 13 wins. Peabody with just the 2 losses, and Beverly with 3. Promises to be a real good game. Marblehead hanging in there in the conference. I don't think they're going to end up winning the conference, but they continue to play really, really well. They were 7. I saw in the latest power rankings, 15-3. Tessa Francis with another 14 strikeouts yesterday and beating Danvers. So they're rolling along pretty nicely too. But Willie, if you want to add anything about that game today, be my guest.
I had something, and yeah, it's interesting. It was supposed to be in April, and it rained that day. So here we are, and now it's at the end of the year, and both teams got by yesterday without their number 1 pitchers, and here we are. Certainly very interesting, but busy weeks. That's another matchup I was going to say. 4-12 right now, just like the Prep and Peabody baseball. For us, we'd like to avoid potentially Peabody and Beverly playing each other. Unless it was a UMass Amherst in the actual state final, then I'll take it. But I would prefer they be on opposite sides and both can go very far without having to play each other.
Yeah. That would be preferable. I mean, it's nice knowing you're going to have at least 1 team win and move on, but you'd like to see it a little further on down the line, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, at least 5-12 would be what, the 3rd round or the 2nd round? Definitely would be the first, but
yeah.
But it's a big week. I mean, obviously, Peabody especially. As you said, Beverly's playing 4 in a row. Peabody's got 10 games in 15 days. They still have to play number 2 Central Catholic, number 12 Beverly. They got Newton North's number 17, and then Archbishop Williams is a top 5 team in Division 3. So lot of room for moving around in those power rankings. I mean, even if they don't win all those games, certainly that you'd figure that's going to pick up a fair amount of schedule points there, playing the iron like that.
We should also mention too that, and I'll let you take the lead on this again, Willie, where you wrote about it in yesterday's newspaper, but good tournament this Saturday coming up over at Bishop Fenwick, the Emily Shan Memorial Tournament, Willie.
Oh, absolutely. Tremendous. We just got a flyer for it from the boosters. It's a great event. Local field this year, Fenwick has added Masconomet and Danvers to the fair there, and that gives you a lot of games, a lot of girls on Masco and Danvers that played club and summer ball with Emily Shan and with her younger sister Sarah too, who made the varsity at Fenwick just like her sister did last year. So, that's going to be a very emotional day, I'm sure, for a lot of those Masco girls. And, Masco's got a young team that they got a really good young pitcher in Sydney Volcano who's really taken her lumps this year. But she throws a lot of strikes and, she's going to be one of the best pitchers in the region, I would think, going forward into 2026, 27. But, a freshman pitching in the NEC large against this Beverly team, that's hitting Abby Betancourt. I mean, that's a big ask for Sid. So kudos to her. She's been hanging in there, doing a great job. So Masco will be looking to finish their season on a high note. And certainly Fenwick will too. And so it's just a great cause. And I love the way Brian Seabury put it to me. He said, it's a lot of softball. There's 2 games at 9:30, consolation at 11:45, championship at 2. He said to people, even if you can't come for every game or a whole game, we're going to have food trucks. We're going to have T-shirts, raffles. It's going to be great weather. Just stop by for 10 minutes, say hi to your friends and neighbors, catch up with the parents of the kids you haven't seen for a while and just hang out for a little while and be part of the atmosphere. I thought that was a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Willie.
So all those games are in one day, Willie?
That's right. Yeah, 1-day tournament. Yep,
Yeah.
at Bishop Fenwick. So they have 2
Okay.
fields. The first round games will take place at the same time at 9:30, and then they'll use the big field for both the consolation and the finals. So the consolation will get underway basically right after the first round, and then the teams that win that go to the finals will take a little break, and they're saying approximately 2:00 for the final there.
Nice. Okay. All right, I'm going to jump to lacrosse here, and Willie, I'm going to keep you on the hot spot here because I think you can talk about this. The girls, the PBD lacrosse team winning the Northeastern Conference title. Let's start there. Go beyond if you want, and then we'll join. Phil will join us with some boys lacrosse updates here.
Yeah, first one ever. Kudos to them, which I didn't realize. I kind of thought maybe they got one in 2011, 2012, something like that. But first one ever. First one for the team in 18 years, going back to their days in the Greater Boston League. So good for them. It's nice to see the guard change a little bit. No disrespect to Marblehead and Masco, but I love the way Beverly's coach Courtney McCalligan put it. She said, it's been Masco and Marblehead running this league for a while, and for us, she said me and Michelle, herself and PBD coach Michelle Roach were kind of trying to, get into that club a little bit, and for them to play each other for the championship instead of Masco or Marblehead was kind of a cool moment for them, kind of the new kids on the block a little bit. So I love the friendly rivalry between the teams, and more teams that we hope don't play each other in the state tournament until they get really deep. And certainly going to be a big game for PBD power ranking wise when they play Ipswich on Wednesday. We're definitely looking forward to that one. I know maybe Phil can touch on that one a little bit more, but the Tigers are a top ranked team in Division 4 or one of the top ranked teams. So just playing them, and certainly if they beat them, I would think PBD, they're 18th now. They would love to sneak into that top 16 and guarantee themselves a first round home game.
The PBD girls
that should be a really good game, Willie. I think it's not really. I know it's a Division 1 team versus a Division 4 team, but I don't think the talent level is too dissimilar on either team. So it should make for a really good game. If I'm not mistaken, I think the only loss that Ipswich has had was against Newburyport, which is a powerhouse. I believe they're defending state champions in Division 3. So I'm looking forward to a really good game over there. And you know, it's funny, you mentioned Michelle. I was gonna say, we don't give out awards like coach of the year for the entire school year, but if we did, and there was, you know, like for the male sports and the female sports, I don't think anybody would touch Michelle, what she's done in two different sports at Peabody High, back-to-back seasons too, between the hockey and the lacrosse. She's really done a terrific job for both sports.
Oh, no doubt. And I would say too, Ipswich played Beverly in the first game of the season. They won 9-6, a really close game. So, you know, Peabody and Beverly's two games were both really close. So that tells me that it should be a great game there between the Tigers and Tanners there.
All right, Phil, you dog wrestling there is the
You know what? I'm not looking for any poor me's or whatever, but we had to put down one of our dogs recently, and so this guy's by himself now, and you know, he likes the attention, and if you know where I'm the only one home right now, and I'm not giving him attention, that means he's got to act up a little bit. So he's a
All
good
right,
boy, but he likes to, you know, anybody that's a dog owner know, Willie, you know, with Teddy and all, it's you know, sometimes they want to supersede whatever you're doing.
Oh,
he
yeah.
seems like half dog, half cat the way he's hanging around there. But anyways,
Well,
Phil, how
he's
about
an Italian Greyhound. He's not a huge guy,
That is
but
cool, I
you
tell
know,
you.
he thinks he's like a, I don't know, a pit bull or something. The way he acts, like a fake tough guy. You know,
what's his name again?
it's Phoenix.
All right.
Pretty
Yeah,
good. I like it.
Well, Phil or Phoenix, either one of you. How about an
Yeah.
update on boys
yeah.
lacrosse?
You want to chime in there with that? Hold on. So, yeah. See, he's got to toss his toys around when he knows that you know, I'm busy or whatever. Anyway, yes, let's talk a little lacrosse here. So we got a week to go, or a little less than a week now to go before the regular season wraps up. And to me, what jumps out right away is interesting in Division Two, where for the second straight week, if the season were to end today, you'd have a great preliminary round matchup between Masconomet and Beverly. Only this time, Beverly has leapt over Masconomet, and they would actually be the home team. So Beverly came in at 32. Masconomet is right now at 33. Beverly's won 10 out of 11 games, you know, and I am in no way equating these two. But, you know, Marblehead hockey, we've been over this ad nauseum, started the season 0-6, went on to win the state title. I can say with about 99.5% certainty, Beverly is not going to win the Division II state lacrosse championship, not with the landmines they have in front of them. You know, you're talking Longmeadow, Hingham, Duxbury, Marshfield, Billerica, the schools like that. Like, it's just, Beverly's just not at that level, and they know that. But a preliminary round game for both they and Masconomet would be great, because you get the feeling of winning a playoff game. They split their two regular season meetings. They both won on the road, each by a goal. So that would be a terrific first round matchup. And I hope for both programs it comes to that. So we do see them playing a preliminary round game next week that these seeds hold. But Beverly's on a nice little roll lately, and Masconomet certainly has a lot of talent there. What else we got? I mean, no surprise, St. John's Prep is number one for I don't think they've ever not been number one since power rankings have been out, if I'm being honest, in lacrosse. Willie, can you think of a week that they wouldn't have been number one? I can't.
I mean, maybe like BC High for like a week in like 2022, but I mean, who remember? You know, I mean, it would have been rare. I mean, even if it's 99 out of 100, it would maybe, but I might be conflating that with hockey, ice hockey too. So
yeah, I
but
know
they've never been lower than 2, even if they were. I mean, so
I think this past year, Archbishop Williams might have been number one for 1 week in hockey. Might have been.
well, there was definitely a week that last year or the year before that CM and Prep were oscillating. So I might be thinking of that too.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when CM beat the Prep, they flip flop spots, right? But,
not often, certainly, if ever.
well, you know, the Eagles set up their schedule nicely this week. Their final 2 games they play tonight at Zavarian, which is the 4th-ranked team in Division One, and then Saturday they always end the regular season with Hingham, which is up until this year was a Division One program. They're now Division Two, 2nd-ranked team, Division Two. Prep goes down to the Cape to play them Saturday morning. So they set their schedule up nicely because they're going to be playing, a couple of cupcakes in the first round of the tournament. So at least they'll get some good run this week. They're really not going to be really tested until the quarterfinals, maybe even the semifinals. It's a shallow pool in Division One, at least between the top ranked teams and all the teams that come after them. And you can probably look at 8 legitimate teams here in Division One, and the rest are good teams, but just not at the level of the top teams there. So they have a good couple of tests this week. Division 4 lacrosse locally for the boys is pretty interesting too, because you have Manchester Essex is doing very well there. You have Ipswich, who I think is 11. Manchester, I want to say, is 8. Pawtucket's
8,
up
yep.
there. Pawtucket's like 7.
Yep.
Swampscott 15-1, actually 16-1 because they got a forfeit win yesterday over Fenwick.
Oh, jeez.
They're 13, not as much love as you would think for a team that's been burying everybody and is having the best season, I believe, in program history. So a lot of good teams in Division 4 North. All of them will have home games, and all of them should advance. And speaking of Fenwick, I mean, how many times have we said they can't qualify for the state tournament? Yes, we know that. But they just had their first ever Danish Cup victory in program history last Friday night over Peabody. They win 8-6. The game had been played a dozen times beforehand. Peabody had won every time. So this was really good for the Fenwick kids to end their season with a win, beating Peabody for the first time, especially the seniors who don't get to go on now to the state tournament. They can say, hey, you know what? We ended our year with a win. This was our Super Bowl. This was our state championship, or whatever you want to call it. Great game over there Friday night, same night as the Bruins game 6 the other night. And the freshman goalie, Warren Dubois, really, really played well. He was player of the game with 13 saves. And I think all but 3 of those came in the second half when Fenwick was finally able to snap a tie game and pull away a little bit. And he made some really, really nice point blank saves to keep his team in the lead. So congratulations to Fenwick. It's not much longer, guys, where you'll be back in the good graces of the MIAA and eligible for postseason play. So been a trying year for Fenwick, certainly, but that was a nice victory, not only for the boys lacrosse program, but I think for the entire athletic department to have that kind of good feeling around that win the other night and get that.
And they don't
I
have
think
the same tournament for the girls, but I will say they finished their season 12-4. They had a great year.
Yeah, they did.
Wrapped up with a big win over Arlington Catholic, one of their rivals. So shout out to the Lady Crusaders as well. Jillian Robinson's doing a nice job there now, a few years into the program, and they won a lot of games this year, 12 games. I mean, they'd be right in the thick of it in the tournament standings.
I think real quick, Nick, you should shout out Manchester girls tennis. Joe Ma, the Hamilton coach, called the match on Friday the best high school tennis match that he has seen in 25 years coaching, boys and girls.
Really? And they're 1-2 in the rankings too.
Yeah, I think they were last time I checked. Are they 1-2 today too? Girls.
Yeah, they're 1-2 today. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, and Hamilton Wenham stayed ahead of them. That's interesting. But no, that was a great win for the girls. 3-2 win. I think it came down to a doubles match, which was, everyone was watching. It was a 2-2 match at that point, and it came down to doubles. So huge win for the Hornets. They're probably going to run into each other in the state championship. I mean, if it stays 1-2, I don't see any team below them that either one of those teams can't get past. Maybe Linfield at number 3. Linfield's having a good season in the Cal too. And look at that. I mean, the top 3 seeds in Division 4 girls tennis are all Cape Ann League teams. Hamilton, Wenham, Manchester, Essex, Linfield. I think it was the same for the boys for a while too, with those same 3 programs. But another team jumped up in there in the mix in the top 3. So they have 3 out of the top 4. But yeah, fantastic season for both the Manchester Essex boys and girls teams. And how about the Gloucester boys? They're kind of having a historic season themselves. They're up all the way to number 6, I believe it was. Double check the Division 3. They're up to number 6 in Division 3 rankings. They're 12-4. I think that they moved. No, 12-4 is accurate. They beat Marblehead for the first time in 23 years, I think it was. So that was a huge win for the program. Talking to Nick Kukru, who covered them for years, they always had solid teams, but they never really had that gunner at number one singles. And this year they got it with Andriy Payano Sosa. He's been getting a lot of big victories, and or Andriy, I think is how you pronounce it. So he's holding it down at number one, winning a lot of big matches, and that sometimes sways a match. That's a big point right there, the number one single slot. So shout out to Gloucester. They're having a great year. Hopefully they can make a little bit of a run in Division 3.
Nick, I've already got you earmarked for Hamilton Manchester girls finals.
I
Nice.
don't see why not. Love it.
Yeah.
Probably be back at MIT this year, right? That's a great location. I like going over there.
That's right.
Phil and Nick and Matt, whatever, maybe you could give us a little preview of what's ahead. Papers back on Wednesday. Phil, I know we have those columns, different columns rotating through. So give our listeners a little preview on what's ahead on the pages of the Salem News in the next few days here.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So we have Matt Williams, very, very well read and well chronicled baseball column around the horn, which will lead our section as always. And Spring Wednesdays, he's cooking up some good notes there. For that, he'll also be at the aforementioned Beverly Peabody softball game that we'll be at, and we have some other news, notes, nuggets, that kind of thing that we'll get in. All of today's scores, obviously. Nick will be at the Celtics. He'll have a story for us from TD Garden, what's going on there. We have all of our baseball leaders running as part of the baseball package tomorrow. All of your North Shore batting and pitching leaders from Salem News and Cape Ann areas. Tomorrow, same thing with the boys lacrosse that I'll be doing there. Willie's going to be working on a story about Endicott baseball, hosting the Super Regionals this weekend for the right to go back to the Division III College World Series. Endicott, of course, is number one in the country. They're hosting number 6 Johns Hopkins. So not a great draw in terms of what they could have drawn, but the seedings are what they are, and they welcome in the Blue Jays, 2 out of 3 series in Beverly this weekend. Should be a terrific take. I'll be at the that Ipswich Peabody girls lacrosse game tomorrow. Nick is going to be doing Salem Gloucester baseball. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up in the next few days.
Sounds good. On this note, I think we have a couple of minutes left here, but Willie, if you could stand up so we could see your shirt here just for one more time here. A little higher. No, you got to go a little higher. There we go. Okay, Bruins. There's our introduction graphic from our graphics department here.
Graphic. It's not a Centennial logo, so I don't know if it counts.
Oh, okay. Phil, I'll let you begin. Keep it brief though for us. Just the season is over for the Bruins.
Yeah, season's over, and I'm going to take what maybe isn't the most popular take, but I kind of think they overachieved, to be honest with you. I think they were not a great team. I think this was a rebuilding year that actually worked out a little better than they thought, wins and losses wise. I think they found their goalie of the future in Jeremy Swayman, and I think if they can find a way to get rid of that $5 million albatross of a contract that Lena Solmark has, that will allow them to put some of that towards Swayman, because he's going to need a new contract. They have a lot of money that will be freed up this summer for free agents. So whether that's you try to trade for a Leon Draisaitl who only has 1 year left on his contract in Edmonton, or you pursue a guy like Lindholm, who was traded to Vancouver, but didn't sign anything beyond that. If they can get a number one center, I think they'll be in good shape. So, hey, you know what? I think Florida is a really dangerous team. I think that, if I had to bet, I would think that they would beat the Rangers in the playoffs. It would be a great playoff series. So losing to Florida, no shame. I thought the Bruins would lose in 5. So to win 2 games in that series, I thought was pretty good. And I think people who thought Jim Montgomery was in the hot seat, that was kind of crazy. Maybe if they had lost to Toronto, but I think he's fine. I think they just have to find a way. I mean, this is a team, Bill, that has to find a way to win home playoff games. It's pretty simple. I mean, Dunk at home the last 2 years, they just can't for all their regular season success, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with it. But you don't want to become the 1990 Atlanta Braves or the the early 90s Buffalo Bills, where it's like you have this great postseason run, and then in the playoffs you peter out. So they have to find a way to get over that hump while, Brad Marchand is still a viable player. He's 36 years old. He still has a couple of good years left, but, Pasternak's in his prime. Charlie McAvoy's approaching his. You hope that Hampus Lindholm can rebound and have a better year. I would think Jake DeBrusk wouldn't be back. So how are they going to fill that scoring role in the wing? A lot of questions. That's what makes the offseason so interesting. But I do think the Bruins overachieved a little bit this year.
All right, interesting. Willie, how about 60 seconds?
I think big picture, I agree with that. I think little picture, I'm very concerned with, Charlie McAvoy. I think kind of stunk in these playoffs. I think Hampus Lindholm is not great and is got a big contract that's going to be hard to move. I mean, you're paying a combined $16 million for those two guys, and neither one of them can run a power play. That's horrifying to me. I agree with Phil completely. If they find a number one center in free agency or trade, it's just like a pitching rotation, is how I put it. All of a sudden, Zaka and Coyle slide into second and third, and now you're in business. You're looking really good, right? So I think that's the number one thing, is that number one center. Maybe Matt Poitras will be that. Maybe Morgan Geekie will be that. But do you have time to wait? While Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak are still at the top of their games, or do you need to go out and maybe peel off a young piece or spend some money and find a veteran, so you're not waiting around for those guys to kind of get better? I sort of liken it to when they signed Mark Savard. They knew that Bergeron and Krejci weren't quite ready, so they got him as a stopgap. And obviously he got hurt. It didn't last as long as they wanted, but I think they need a similar thing right now to give that next wave the time to get ready.
Matt, I've got to stop you there. We're out of time. Nick Giannino, I'll let you, I'll follow you on Twitter tonight from the Garden. You can kind of sprinkle in some Bruin notes on your Twitter feed tonight. That would be great, I think, to give us your thoughts there. Gentlemen, great job always. We'll talk to you again very soon.
Thanks, Bill.